Meet the Bison wrestler that's dominated on the mats in Peru and Vegas this summer. Plus, Byron Buxton in the Home Run Derby, and the All-Star Game is tonight. Hot Mic begins right now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to they got it done in under 3 hours edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, Good Morning in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We are halfway through July. Dunzo. I told you, once we got past the 4th of July, it's over. So enjoy it now, folks, because literally after tonight, after the baseball all-star game is done at whatever time, 10 o'clock tonight, football is officially here. ESPN's already done it. You wouldn't have known any better. Their entire morning shows yesterday and this morning, they carried the Home Run Derby on their channel, and nothing was said about it. If that doesn't tell you that they have already turned the page to football, nothing will. We will give you a little bit of that. Simply there was a local connection to it, so we'll show you Byron Buxton's exploits at the Home Run Derby coming up in just a little bit. The Twins, as we know, have 2 reps in the game tonight. We'll see how they're used. I'm imagining that Joe Ryan will pitch an inning tonight, and Buxton will get into the game sometime. We'll give you the starting lineups and all that coming up in just a little bit. The All-Star pitching match was pretty darn good. It doesn't have the same. It never will, but certainly from when I was a kid, in the late 80s, early 90s, and the All-Star game came about, this is long before interleague play became a thing, and you can say that watered it down or whatever, but it was, these guys never faced one another, and now everybody plays everybody every season. There's no mystery of that illusion or whatever you want to call it, allure is gone from the game. Does it make it less cool? Maybe, but it's certainly a different a deal that we're going to have for tonight, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. We got a packed show coming up for you. We're going to be keeping an eye down in Tampa, Florida, because local soccer team is playing for a championship today. We'll show you that coming up in just a little bit. Their match actually begins in about 10 minutes' time down in Florida. Got a couple of dads that messaged me throughout the weekend saying, hey, keep an eye on this, and they're playing for a championship. We'll give you the details on that. The baseball draft came and went. For the 5th year in a row, the Bison have a player drafted into the Major League Baseball draft. That's pretty darn good. Let's talk about bragging rights. I know there's 20 rounds, but the Bison baseball program, if you needed more emphasis on that, considering their 6 best guys went in the portal, got some more details on that yesterday about the amount of money that was given to these guys. Add on the fact that they're recruiting the right guys. This is a player that hasn't even played a single inning of baseball yet in Fargo, was drafted yesterday. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit as well. Also, as I mentioned in our show tease, a dominant summer on the wrestling mat for a Bison freshman. He'll be here in studio to talk about wrestling everywhere from Vegas to Peru, and he's going to Bulgaria. That's quite the summer for Shilo Jones. That's coming up in just a little bit. But let's get to the Home Run Derby. And I pointed out yesterday, there were a couple things I wanted to see. And I didn't see Byron Buxton hit at all. I'll be honest with you. I caught the highlights of it. We had our next to last T-ball game last night. Jack Mann had a couple good hits. But I caught the last half hour. Most importantly, it was wrapped up by 9:58. It still takes too long, but the format of it is more conducive to at least getting off the air under 3 hours. Byron Buxton was participating last night. He was 5th up for the competition. And after there were some guys that were hitting bombs, O'Neal Cruz that went over 500 feet last night. Buxton got into a nice groove. Third base coach Tommy Watkins was throwing to him last night. See, this is in his first round. He's up to 17 bombs, which you're going to have to hit quite a bit to get to the next round. Hit one 466 feet. He had 20 in the opening round. So he moved on to the semis to face Junior Caminero from the Tampa Bay Rays. Look at that one's a moonshot. Deep. I mean, you want to have a home run derby at a spot. Atlanta's a good one because the ball flies out of that ballpark. Look at that one into the second deck. He'd finish with 7 in the semifinals. Caminero, though, who people have no idea who team he plays for. He's a really good player. Another find for Tampa. He needed to hit 8, and this was number 8. That was enough to get him on to the championship, which we'll show you in a second. But Buxton gets to the semis. Put on a good show. He had 20 home runs in the first round to advance into the semifinals last night. So it was plenty of smiles there with his kids and wife there. That was a lot of fun to see last night. Not nearly the performance that Miguel Sano had back in 2017, but an impressive performance nonetheless. So the final featured Caminero, who got by Buxton against Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh's had an unbelievable year, as we know, as the leading home run hitter in the majors with the Seattle Mariners. He's a switch hitter. He decided to hit mostly from the left side after the first round. And boy, we could debate about how ESPN covered it with the split screen because it got a little bit wonky there of trying to follow the ball. Best part is his dad is throwing to him and his younger brother is catching. So this was a family affair. Like, look at that was a moonshot. Just hammering it. And this might be, I would imagine, for a lot of America, the first time they've seen this guy. He plays for the Seattle Mariners, first off. He's a catcher, second off. This is the one night of the year baseball has it pretty much to itself. They got to see this guy put on an absolute clinic, hitting balls out of Truist Park like you wouldn't believe. He had 18 home runs in the final, so Caminero knew exactly what he had to do. One kid robbed him of a home run last night. Watch again. That's a home run. Those are the guys that compete in the hit, run, and pitch competition that get to shag balls. I've interviewed a couple of them. They've been local kids. He robbed a home run last night. Carl Ravitch was saying during the broad, hey, we don't want anybody taking home runs away. That was a great catch. He was running out of outs. That was his last swing there. He finished with 15 as Raleigh becomes the first catcher to win the home run derby. Clobbering 18 to Caminero's 15 last night to win the home run derby. And that was what we saw last night. It was fun. I mean, it's a perfect deal for, we can kill the music, guys. It was a perfect deal for Cal Raleigh to win, knowing full well this kind of season he's had. Who else should win it for the guy that's leading the majors in home runs? So congratulations to him. And an event, again, that just doesn't have the kind of sizzle that it used to, but it still was fun to watch some. I mean, O'Neal Cruz hit one 513 feet. That blew up my phone last night. I got about 8 alerts that was the deal. Now to the game. And I'm not sure how long the starters will be in tonight. I hope for our sakes the starters get to go a little bit. This is the starting pitchers. Tarek Skubal will go for the Tigers, who, of course, is the reigning American League Cy Young winner, and he's been fabulous this year. 10-3 for the Tigers, who are running away with the American League Central with an ERA just over 2. Against Paul Skeens, who we last saw pitch against the Minnesota Twins on Friday night. His actual ERA is now over 2 after the loss to the Twins with an ERA just over 2. Those will be the starters tonight for the American League and the National League. The lineups are loaded American League will look like this. I would, again, challenge you, because the teams aren't next to the players here, of who plays for who. Gleyber Torres has been around. I think probably still people have a hard time knowing what team he plays for. Riley Green, people would have no idea. Go up and ask, who is this guy and who does he play for? I don't think you're getting many right answers on that. I'd have a hard time with some, and I follow the game. I'd like to think that I know who plays for who. Cal Raleigh, we now know. Aaron Judge, you better know. Guerrero Jr., people know. He plays for Toronto. Ryan O'Hearn, I would guarantee nobody has any idea who Ryan O'Hearn is. That's just, I would take that one to the bank on that. Caminero now, people know he plays for the Rays. Riley Green, by the way, plays for the Tigers, in case people didn't know that. Torres is currently a Tiger as well. Javier Baez, former Met great, former Cub. He's another Tiger. Jacob Wilson, I guarantee 10 out of 10 have no idea who he plays for. He plays for the Oakland A's. I know they're not Oakland anymore. He plays for the A's. That's the American League lineup. The National League has much more of the recognizable, quote-unquote, players, because obviously Ohtani will lead off. Acuna's back. He'll play left field tonight for the Braves, the hometown guy. Ketel Marte, gosh, what a career he's had now for the Diamondbacks. Freddie Freeman, people know. Machado, people know. Will Smith has been in the World Series like 8 years in a row, so I think people might know he's the catcher for the Dodgers. Kyle Tucker, who's had a dynamite year for Chicago. Lindor is the shortstop for the Mets. Pete Crow Armstrong, you're going to find out, is awfully good as well. He's the starting center fielder for the Cubs, who was a Mets prospect who they traded for Javier Baez, who's now an all-star for the Tigers. Let me start it. That's the starting lineups for tonight. And one just quick anecdote on this, because, again, I'll go back to, before we move on, get our show rolling, that when the lineups got introduced, as a kid watching baseball was my jam. That was my favorite sport growing up. Not even close. And when you got to see, let's just pick a year, 1992. I think All-Star game was San Diego. Don't ask me why I know that. And Ken Griffey Jr. gets introduced, and Kirby Puckett gets introduced, and Cal Ripken Jr. gets. That was because we never saw those guys play. New York, we got the Mets and the Yankees, and then we got the Braves. When we got cable, we got the Braves, so we got the TBS games all the time. That was it. So anytime you got to see somebody from the Twins or the Royals, the Angels, the Mariners, certainly, because Seattle was just getting good because Griffey was there and Alex Rodriguez was coming, and they had Randy Johnson, and they had Jay Buhner. That team were amazing in the early to mid-'90s. Cleveland was getting good because they had Jim Thome, they had Juan Gonzalez, they had Albert Bell, they had Carlos Baerga. Right? Those were the American League All-Stars. That before the Yankees weren't very good in the early 90s. That's a fun statement to say out loud. Heck, the Mets weren't any better. The Mets of Bobby Bonilla, Barry Bonds, you would see him playing for the Pirates before he went to the Giants. That's when the game was tremendous. Go back, find time today. It's on YouTube because I watched it last week. The 1994 All-Star game in Pittsburgh, because the player, it was a walk-off there. The National League won it in Pittsburgh, and that was right before the strike. Everybody was going balls to the wall to win the game. Don't happen anymore like that. Heck, since the tie in Milwaukee, everything went downhill on that. We'll see tonight what happens. Real quick, the other big sporting event locally last night, Minnesota Lynx were in Chicago. Second consecutive time they were taking on the Sky. They lost on Saturday to Angel Reese and the Sky. Last night, Nafisa Collier made sure back-to-back losses was not going to happen. She was great last night. Angel Reese was pretty darn good, too. Again, reinforcing for Lynx fans that they passed on her in the WNBA draft last year. This is a nice up-and-under move by Collier, who was 7 of 14 from the field, 11 of 11 at the line. She was great. Reese drives and scores here through contact, put the Sky up by 4. It's a 2-point Minnesota lead in the third. That three goes down, makes it a 5-point lead. Collier knocks this one down from Courtney Williams, put them up by 5 at the end of 3. They expand the lead to 9 in the 4th. Another corner tray knocked down there. Minnesota goes on and knocks off Chicago, 91-78, the final. Collier goes for 29 points, adds 5 assists, 3 steals, 3 rebounds. She was great. Kayla McBride, who should be an all-star, at 17. Courtney Williams at 18, as the Lynx avoid losing back-to-back games to a Chicago team, as you can see, that is well under 500. Angel Reese was really good, 22 and 10. Another double-double for her, but the Lynx get a win. They have one more game tomorrow night for the All-Star break, and then they'll get a week off before resuming the second half of the season with those big matchups looming with New York. The Liberty coming up here at the end of July and early August. They played, obviously, last year in the finals. Have yet to play yet this season. That will be fun to watch, considering, again, New York is still awfully darn good. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Tuesday morning. Our guest lineup brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Mike McFeely will join us at 9:35. Plenty to get to with Mike, including his trip to Target Field. We'll get to that coming up just a few minutes. At 10 o'clock, you'll meet NDSU freshman sensation on the mat. Shilo Jones will join us off a U20 Pan Am championship that he won last week in Peru. He's back in the States, and he's actually in our studio coming up at 10 o'clock. Looking forward to that. And at 10:35, really looking forward to our conversation with John Millea from the Minnesota State High School League. Now I can say recently retired John Millea, who's been covering everything Minnesota high school sports related for the last 15 years for the high school league. Obviously, prior to that, writing for the Star Tribune for a long time. And he's spent many a time up here. We'll get his thoughts on how that job mushroomed over the last 15 years. Of course, he was the originator of the nickname contest during COVID. We had him on there when the Moorhead Spuds won that, of course, over Grand Prairie, beating out the Awesome Blossoms. So looking forward to our conversation with John coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Tuesday. We'll take our first break. We come back. An update on the Dakota Fusion playing down in Tampa, Florida, and much more. Glad you're joining us. Hot Mike back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBM, and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, Monday we will be back in Sioux Falls. Hot Mike will be there live for Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day from the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. Join us. Hot Mike will be live from 9 to 11. We'll also be live on WDAY Plus for our second show that day from 1 to 3. We'll have all 10, I believe, Missouri Valley football head coaches joining us. Tim Polasek will join us right off the hop on Hot Mike at about 9:15 on Monday morning. Dan Jackson, head coach of South Dakota State, will join us, and a bunch more. Looking forward to that. First of its kind. We've not done an in-person Valley Media Day since 2008. I was in St. Louis for that one, so it's been a little bit. Looking forward to that. We'll have a cast of thousands down there, and looking forward to bringing you, getting ready for the upcoming college football season coming up next Monday from 9 to 11 on Hot Mike, and then from 1 to 3 that day. So we'll be busy. Looking forward to that. Two things wanted to get to real briefly here. Congrats to the Dakota Fusion girls soccer team. They are about actually to begin their championship match in Tampa, Florida as we speak. They are playing in the U.S. Youth Soccer Championship game this morning. Yesterday, they won their match 3-1 to advance to the championship round, made up of girls that have played all over Fargo, Grand Forks, Jamestown, West Fargo. They beat the Wheaton United Academy, they're in the dark jerseys there, from Illinois yesterday, 3-1. They are playing a team from Washington, the Whatcom FC Rangers. That match just began about 10 minutes ago down in Tampa. Looking to become the first North Dakota-based club to win the President's Cup since the tournament's inception in 2008. They have 14 divisions, age groups ranging from 13 to 19. They are in the the 15U championship, coached by John Melendez, who's coached soccer in the area forever, coached at Cheyenne and West Fargo for a ton of time. He told the forum yesterday, it's a very talented group. We've been tested around the region, and we've done well. After we punched our tickets as a finalist in the Midwest Region Tournament, our goal is to come here, compete, and make it as far as we can. Well, they've gone as far as you can go because they're playing in the championship match this morning. And I watched a little bit yesterday. You can see the web feed wasn't great from yesterday down in Tampa, but congrats to that. I mean, I don't think people associate soccer and North Dakota going hand in hand, but more kids have been playing it over the last decade plus here. Talent has kept getting better. There are more Division I players coming out of here by evidence that they're playing it either at North Dakota State, University of North Dakota. Many will actually go play in the Twin Cities for a club team and then come back up here and play high school, or occasionally they will play Division I soccer, or they're doing this. So congrats to the Fusion. We're 3-0-1 in this event. They went 2-0-1 in the round robin and obviously won their match yesterday to get to the championship. So they've beaten teams from Connecticut and Idaho. They had a tie against their team from Tennessee. So they've done really, really well for themselves. This is the U.S. Youth Soccer National President's Cup, what they're playing in today. So we'll keep our eyes on that, and we'll pass along on the updates. The match just began at 9:15 our time down in Tampa. Congratulations to them on what's been a dynamite run throughout this tournament. Also, congrats are in order to the Bison baseball program. As I mentioned off the top, they have a 5th consecutive Major League Baseball draft pick. Think about that. NDSU baseball has produced a drafted player now for 5 straight years. The most recent player is Tyson Moran, who comes to NDSU by way of Canada. He is actually yet to play an inning for the Bison, but he is signed with NDSU back in November, drafted by the Royals with the 398th pick in the 13th round of the draft. He's a left-hitting shortstop. He plays out of Wingham, Ontario, plays for the Great Lake Canadians. He was the Futures Game MVP for the Toronto Blue Jays last September and was named the number 200 prospect by Perfect Game, which is that's the scouting site to find any baseball prospects leading up to the draft. 15th overall Bison selected in the draft dating back to 1968. 5th straight year, as I mentioned, that NDSU has had a player selected, and the 9th Bison overall since 2013. Now, I was speaking with a couple sources yesterday after this went down on what's ahead, because Tyson's going to have a decision in front of him. He will either sign with Kansas City, and that depends on how much money in the Royals pool, their draft pool, they have left to give him, or he will come to Fargo and enroll and be a Bison and play on the team next year. Now, the amount of money I've heard is anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 that he will get to sign to come here. This is similar situation. If you'll remember, we did this a couple years ago, and now you'll know the name, in Jonah Tong, who was another Canadian that had signed with NDSU and was actually drafted, I want to say, in the 7th round overall by the New York Mets. And Tong decided to begin his professional career. The amount of money he got was pretty darn good from the Mets, and that proved out to be a pretty good decision because now I believe he's the number 2 overall ranked prospect in the Mets system. He pitched in the Futures game in Atlanta on Saturday. So he didn't come to NDSU. He started his pro career. This guy could do that same road, or he could come here. It tells you two things here. A, players that NDSU is recruiting and getting here are awfully darn good. By reflected also of the players that left in the portal after the NCAA tournament run, that players that NDSU is recruiting here are awfully good. Second thing, and we did this, I did a story on Dante Smith, who is NDSU's starting right fielder this entire season, who's also a Canadian from outside of Toronto, that the level of play in Canada right now in baseball is fantastic. And with NDSU being the furthest north Division I school, with UND no longer sponsoring baseball, there's a pipeline that Tyler Oaks is feeding into to get guys to come here. Moran was one of them. And it's certainly worked out here over the last. Dante Smith's been one. Tong would have been another. And they've got I think 3 other Canadians that are coming on the Bison baseball roster for this upcoming season of 2026. So we'll follow that. The other local guy that we know, Dylan Dreisen, was selected in the 18th round yesterday out of South Dakota State. Saw him pitch here in Fargo last couple of years. Big, tall right-hander. He went in the 18th round yesterday. So a couple of Summit League selections in the 20-round draft. That used to be a 3-day event. It used to go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They now condensed it to just Sunday, Monday to get it, I guess, done with. It used to be 40 rounds. Now they've reduced it down to 20. But that's the latest of what went down yesterday in the baseball draft. We are due for a break. We'll take one now. We come back. Our guy Mike McFeely will join us. Plenty of stuff to chat about with Mike as we roll on a busy Tuesday morning. We're glad you're joining us. Hot Mike returns after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
There he is, folks, our resident Nelly fan. One Mike McFeely joining us in studio.
Yes,
back
I was going to wear my Band-Aid, which I guess is what Nelly did for a while, was this calling card was wearing, but I guess he hasn't done it for a while. So
you were at Target. There were about 18 people on my social media feeds, either at the game on Friday or Saturday down at Target Field. So you got through the burning cars and disaster area to get to Minneapolis. Yeah. So, but took in a heck of a pitching matchup as well.
Yes, last Friday night was my wife's birthday. And,
happy belated birthday, Michelle.
And here's a reason why, guys, you have to marry well, is my wife said, well, for my birthday, let's go down to the Twins game, and there's a Nelly concert, and she's a big, hip-hop, whatever, from the 90s type person. And she said, let's go down to the Twins game and go to the Nelly concert. Yeah. I'm like, okay, sounds good to me. And so we were joined by 40,000 of our closest friends. Great crowd.
Looked it on TV.
I have not been paying that much attention to the Twins and did not pay attention to your program, frankly, but I found out that when I got to the game, it's like, oh, Joe Ryan and Paul Skeens and apparently this Paul Skeens, his girlfriend is some
Livy Dunn
influencer, Livy Dunn.
She's a former gymnast.
And she was at the game. Yeah, I'm going, who's Livy Dunn? Michelle's like, she's the LSU gymnast. I'm, oh, yeah. And so
did they do a lookalike with her on the big board?
Yes. So they did. They do this celebrity lookalike, and then they scan the crowd and find somebody who allegedly looks like. Yeah. And so they put Livy Dunn up, and then they put Livy Dunn up. Yeah, she was in the crowd.
That's good.
It was pretty funny.
That's good.
It was pretty funny.
Twins know what they're doing. They do a good job down there.
Yes, they do. And so it was fun. It was a great night, beautiful night in downtown Minneapolis. Lots of people buzzing around.
Good ball game. It was over in like 2.5 hours, right?
The game was great.
Yeah, it was a 2-1 game.
The ice cream cone was $36. I mean, it was all fantastic. It was a great day.
Did you eat at the game, or was that all you took in during the game?
I did not. And long story, but it just wasn't hungry.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It wasn't because of the money. I just wasn't hungry during the game, and I didn't want to have a big Kramarchik's bratwurst during the game. And so I had a couple of cold drinks, and that was a second mortgage to do that. And Michelle got an ice cream cone, and that was a third mortgage to do that. And so it was, but the Twins, it's still, and I wrote a column about it on the drive back. She was driving. I offered to drive, guys. Offered to drive back home. She said, no, I'll drive. I go, okay. And just, the Twins have done have had some missteps the last year or so, last 18 months, whatever it's been.
Yep.
And
self-inflicted.
A lot of it has to do with the TV stuff that was a mess last year, and the Jim Polad comment, which was completely honest, but he just got roasted for saying that they were going to right-size their business.
Yeah.
And they just haven't been very good since they started the collapse last year. And this year they're mediocre. They're whatever they are.
Yeah, they're 47 and 49 right now.
They're 500 team. But as I wrote, for one night, they can still do it. I mean, what's the old Toby Keith song? I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. And that's kind of the Twins. Is they're on that one night, it's like that was a pretty fun night, and the concert was great. I had not ever listened to it. I had not purposely listened to a Nelly song. Once he started playing, I went, oh, okay.
This one?
That's a Nelly song. Okay. It was fine. It was fun. And they did a great job. And I think about 30,000 people, I would estimate, stuck around.
I was going to ask you, so how many stayed? There was a ton?
Oh, it was 30,000.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Because I got a feeling there was some that didn't care that went to the ball game. Let's go.
Well, there's a couple guys to our right who probably the average age between them was 86, and they were gone as soon as that final out was made. They were gone. But a lot of other people stuck around, and they were dancing and singing, and it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. I'm glad you got to take that in. I was surprised though you didn't send any videos of you dancing in the stands. You sent videos of the actual concert.
I sent a couple of videos to you and Kolpak and Peterson, and after I sent the one, I thought, God, am I singing along to this one? And are they able to hear me sing? Because I actually knew the words to a couple of them. Because it's like, well, I know that song, and so my wife is dancing, the people in front of me are dancing, and I think I was singing along. I hopefully you guys deleted those videos, and they don't end up on social media. But that would be ugly.
Oh gosh, I got a couple. We've done this forever and a day. I don't want to spend too much time on it because the All-Star game is tonight. I know the All-Star game was so different when you were a kid than even for me.
I feel like we talk about this every year. That I haven't watched the All-Star game in 20 years.
They're at least wearing their normal jerseys tonight. They're going back to, they hadn't done it. I didn't know this since 2019. They have not worn the actual, because that for me, and I'm sure for you as well growing up, that was the cool part to see everybody's individual jersey and hat on the field. They haven't done that in 6 years because baseball can't have its own way.
I did not know that they had gone away from that, and I did not know that they went back to it. And you and I have pounded this into the ground, but I do not care about any of the All-Star games because they're all just a joke. The baseball one, it used to be the thing. I mean, it's different when you're 10 than when you're almost 60. But it used to just be tremendous entertainment.
Oh, God.
And it used to be the highlight of the summer was the All-Star game and Pete Rose and Willie McCovey and, Joe Rudy or whomever, Catfish Hunter, all these guys from the 70s. It was the greatest thing ever. And then it just became the worst thing ever.
Yep. Here's the one I was waiting to. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but our friends at Louisiana Tech are leaving Conference USA and are bound for the Sun Belt Conference as early as next season, meaning Conference USA will be down to 10 members next year. Does that mean, thanks, Eric, on that, that's what the Sun Belt will look like with La Tech joining with Louisiana Monroe and
that's
the
natural,
Raging King. Right,
I mean,
the Sun Belt wanted that.
I know that the Mountain West, and I reported this earlier, but like when the Mountain West was in this whole trying to get Northern Illinois, and was it Toledo originally, and I was told by a very good source that the Mountain West had actually started vetting Louisiana Tech in case Northern Illinois said no. Wow. Even above possibly North Dakota State because of the FBS label, because it was,
as we found out,
the presidents and ADs wanted a current FBS, and so they had started to vet Louisiana Tech.
Well, I know.
In the Mountain West, which makes, again, if you're going to,
I know.
Like what? But anyway, so the Sun Belt, it's a better conference than Conference USA.
Yeah,
far less travel. It looks like they have a division format in the Sun Belt, so they can be in the Sun Belt West, I believe it would be. Yep. And they're in there with some Texas and Louisiana schools, so it's good. We're
happy for you. I bring this up because likely next on the tee is not North Dakota State. Is your friends at Tarleton State are
not my friends. That's Sam Herder's friends. Sam Herder's been doing the Byron Buxton horn for Tarleton State for like 5 years.
Tarleton, who's been Division I for 6 minutes.
Yes.
Looks like that they, because they're located where they're at.
But where are they located?
Yeah, they're in Texas. Yeah. Figure that out.
Yeah, and that's the dominoes are falling, but
I mentioned it, though, yesterday that 4 years ago, you and I would have stuck our noses up at Conference USA. Like, nah, I don't. Now, absolutely, sure. If they came calling, let's go.
If it's football only, yes.
Yep.
Who says those conversations didn't
happen? Yeah.
And perhaps NDSU said
no,
football only, and perhaps Conference USA said all the sports, and I think that's a good choice to not do that.
Probably.
Because it would bankrupt you if you tried to fly your volleyball team to Miami,
Newark, Delaware, too.
Delaware on a Thursday night or something or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, NDSU is just they are where they are, and unless something major surprising happens, it is what it is.
We got the list of all of the FCS all the schools that decided either opt in or opt out of the settlement. Yep. All the Valley football schools decided to do that. No surprise to you on that?
Not once the dominoes started to fall, and we learned that with the NIL stuff and the outside collectives and all the things that Matt Larson explained a couple weeks ago. That's no surprise.
The Citadel, who NDSU opens with, opted out, which is not surprising considering their background and what their athletic budget is. That's not necessarily something that they would opt in for.
Well, and the purpose of the school.
Correct.
It is. It's a military. It's not an academy. That's not the right, but a military school institution, and so it's not about going from there to the NFL necessarily, although nobody says you can't.
Nope.
But the idea is it's a military disciplinary institution.
The Big Sky schools that opted out, Eastern Washington did. Surprised with that, knowing their finances?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I know that they just have nothing.
Right.
They have no budget for anything athletically, and so what Bo Baldwin did for all those years was amazing,
remarkable.
And they're not what they once were.
Idaho did as well, which I thought was head scratcher there.
And I don't know. Again, I don't know what their situation is or why they would do that. Maybe they think that their collective is. But all indications is that so many of these FCS collectives just were not what perhaps they were made out to be publicly.
Yes,
we know that NDSU's had some success. I mean, there were some players being paid and legally. Others around the Valley that were touting things, I don't know that they necessarily turned out to be what they said they were.
There were 3 other Big Sky schools that made the playoffs recently that Northern Arizona opted out and Davis opted out as well.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because obviously Davis has had success over the last little bit, and they decided
they're going to be the next Mountain West edition, by the way, because they have
written the language there of their contract. We're happy. Yeah, we're happy for you on that. I just found that was interesting. Those are schools that are traditionally good at FCS football that decided that they were going to opt out of that. Which, again, not knowing we don't know the finances there.
I don't know the finances. Right. I don't know the. But Davis again. Cal Davis is a very. I think elite academic institution. It's not. Again, when you look at schools, when we and others look at schools, you're thinking about football success or basketball success. Shockingly, presidents look at academic things as well. And Cal, a place like Cal Davis is extremely elite. I think when it comes to the technological side of things and all of so all of that might play into it.
All right, we're overdue for a break. We caught up here. We'll take one here, come back. Much more with Mike as we wrap up our first hour. Shilo Jones from NDSU Wrestling coming up here in about 15 minutes as well. Back on a Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike right after this. Welcome back, everybody. A few more minutes with our guy, Mike McFeely, joining us. You are going to be heading down to Sioux Falls with us as well on Monday?
That is the plan as of right now.
All right.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. I'm interested to see the the turnout for what it is, and hopefully that they keep doing it. You and I have lamented this, this is a media deal. Yeah. I don't know if Joe Q fan cares.
I don't care. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's about me, not the viewers or readers. It's about me. I'm curious to see how many media outlets are there.
Yeah,
I mean, clearly you're going to have all the Sioux Falls outlets. You're going to have, Fargo. The Bison station is going to be down there. I would presume that the Herald will have Tom Miller will go down there. I don't know if any other TVs from here will go down. I don't have any idea.
Yeah.
One of them has no sports department left anymore. But I mean, back in the day when NDSU first started this Division I thing, every Valley town had a functioning newspaper and a beat writer dedicated to that
said team.
And some good. I mean, Cedar Falls had Jim Nelson. Youngstown had its own paper at that time, and a beat writer, and
Todd Heverman
Southern
covers Illinois,
and
Indiana State.
Indiana State.
Yep.
I mean, all those guys had Todd Golden, and they all had. And I don't know if they would have traveled that far. And back then, newspapers were doing fine, but now, who's left?
Right.
And are TV stations in? Is there a TV station in Carbondale? I don't know.
Not Carbondale. Carbondale proper. Yeah, WSIL
who else is going to be there?
Correct. I understand your point.
So it makes sense. That it's going to be in Sioux Falls, I guess, because it's centrally located to us. But I don't know. I don't know who else is going to be there.
Yeah, that's the litmus test. I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
To do, but frankly, they were the only league not doing anything like this, though. We were still doing something over a Zoom.
Yeah,
Heck, before that, it was over a phone call.
And the Zoom thing was brutal.
Yes.
It was just brutal.
Right.
Yep,
this is actually, hey, if you want to be appear like you're a major deal, you got to do something like this.
The best conference, the SEC of the FCS, and at least this will pretend that they're doing something. And I don't know in today's media environment, what that means.
Yeah.
Are you going to have, Jimmy Blog out there, high-fiving the coaches and doing all that crap? I mean, I'm so old I don't know
Jimmy Blog.
I just don't know what constitutes legitimate media anymore.
No.
I just don't know. I mean, so
I got you. Yesterday, I've put a moratorium on this topic. I don't know how you feel, because yesterday Greg Sankey was speaking, the commissioner of the SEC, at their media days, which are 4 days long.
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, don't they have like 37 teams?
But he said that the SEC and the Big Ten have, quote unquote, different views of what the CFP is. That's startling that the two power leagues would have different ideas of how many teams they want to get into this thing.
Well, that's because each conference wants all of their
they want
teams.
12.
Yes. I mean, if Greg Sankey had his way, the national championship tournament would be 12 SEC teams.
It would be all 16 teams. Like if they go to 16, it would be all 16 would be in the tournament.
Right. I mean, and maybe that's not far off from what it would be.
Correct.
But the Big Ten wants the same thing. Right. The Big Ten wants 7 teams in the tournament. So that's the clash.
They just started with 12, and they're already bickering about trying to get to 16. It's like, gosh almighty, can we just figure it out and just do this for a little bit before blowing it up?
But who screwed this up?
Television.
Say it. Thank you.
Television.
Say it, Mr. TV.
Television.
Jimmy TV. You guys
go hang out with Jimmy Blog. We hang out together.
Hey. Oh, FSCS is awesome. Hey.
Yeah, television ruined it for everybody.
Yes, because
There's no doubt.
Because they want matchups.
Oh,
because they're afraid.
We want more games, man.
You want inventory and you want matchups.
Yep.
So thanks. Appreciate it.
It's our fault.
It is.
So it's our fault.
All of this realignment is because of what?
Not all of it.
Yes, it is.
I'd say
it's about
75% is television.
100% of it is about money from television. 100%.
All right, how about 90% is from television?
100%. 100 is because of the money from television. Why else is USC flying to Piscataway, New Jersey, and College Park, Maryland to play volleyball on a Thursday night? It ain't because of the traditional rivalries. It's because of they want the football teams to make $1 gajillion, and so the volleyball players are going, wait, what? Where are we going?
Who would you say Rutgers' rival is? We did the rival story last week.
Yeah.
Right?
There's probably a trophy. They're in the
Big Ten. They have to have a trophy.
Like every game has a trophy. So
maybe Louisville? Maybe because they were good not that long ago. I don't know.
If you have to say
maybe
Louisville, then that probably
Temple.
means. Oh, that is
Temple and Rutgers.
That is a Pier 6 brawl. When those two teams get together at the link, and there's 13,000 people. I was in the parking lot of Lincoln Financial Field after a Temple game, and I can't remember who they played, but there were smatterings of Temple tailgaters.
Temple football's bad.
Left over. That's where our guy Casey Keeler is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good luck there.
That's where the Temple fans were offering me weed after the Temple game. And that's what I asked the tremendous journalistic question.
Yeah.
Are you guys Eagles fans?
Like you get a 2x4 against the head there on that one.
No, I got the greatest look ever and the greatest answer ever. We're in Philadelphia. What the blink do you think? Said with much more sarcasm and dripping disdain than I just put out there.
Love that town. Eric, who is Rutgers' rival? Who is it? Tell us, please. I'd love to know.
The darlings of the FCS in Princeton and Maryland. And then
Maryland.
Seton Hall for basketball.
Oh, yeah, because they're both New Jersey schools there, but they don't have a football rival, apparently.
I covered a basketball game at Rutgers back
the Bison
in 2005.
Did the Bison play out there?
Bison played Florida and then Rutgers.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the same weekend. Now we're going back 20 years, but that was the same night.
Bison football.
The Bison football team beat Cal Poly on Heckendorf's touchdown pass from Steve Walker.
That was all right. That was good stuff. All right. Thanks for coming by as always, bud. That was fun. We'll see you on Monday down in Sioux Falls then.
You bet.
All right?
Jimmy Blog. Looking forward to meeting
Jimmy
him.
TV will be there too. It's going to be my new super on there. Mike McFeely joining us each and every Tuesday at 9:30. We'll break. We come back. You'll meet one of the best wrestlers in the country. I'm not exaggerating. Shilo Jones is that. He just won the Pan Am Championship in Peru, and he's coming up when we come back.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 ready to rock and roll on this Tuesday morning. Our thanks to Mike McFeely for joining us. John Millea will join us in just a little bit from the Minnesota State High School League on his legendary career. We're really excited to have in studio NDSU wrestling standout Shilo Jones join us fresh off the plane from Peru in winning the U20 Pan American Championship in the 130-kilogram weight class. Let's just say heavyweight, right? Is that the best way to describe that? First, thanks for doing this. Second, congratulations. Jet lag, or how you feeling here?
I'm feeling pretty good. I got in pretty early. I got in at like 10, so I was already sleeping on the plane. I had to leave at like 6 in the morning, but
well, let's just chat here about what you just did. For people that follow wrestling, obviously they know, but for the non-wrestling initiated, how big a deal is what just happened for you last week?
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal, but so to qualify, right, you have the U.S. Open. That's how you qualified for, or how I qualified for the Pan Am team.
Yeah.
And then from that, we have trials, which was in Ohio at the Spear Complex. And that's how you qualify for the world team, at least for U20s. So we basically, Peru is like the warm-up almost.
Okay.
It's like a simulation for Worlds.
Which is coming up now next month. Yeah. So the fact that you got to go there, how the guys you're wrestling, are these ones you've wrestled before? You know these guys, or is this total blind with the guys you're wrestling?
In Peru?
Yeah.
No, I haven't wrestled any of them because they're all foreign guys, so you just haven't.
So describe the challenge of that going in, like in college. Most time, all right, I've seen this guy before, or we've seen down the road, or I've got video of this guy. Going in blind, how difficult is that?
A lot of times I think it's better.
Really?
Yeah, you just go in and do what you do best. And
What about this particular week that you just had? What was clicking, or just what was it? A particular matchup? Like, I know I can beat this guy.
Just taking ground, controlling hand fight, all that good stuff. Just basics.
So you get to, it was a round, we were just talking off air, it was a round robin deal that you didn't even have to wrestle your last match because you had beaten everybody prior to that, correct?
Yeah. So there were only 4 other guys at Pan Am's Peru. And I wrestled all of them. I teched the first 3, and then I pinned my last guy.
So you were barely on the mat, it sounds like, for the matches you were out there.
Yeah, I don't even think I was out there longer than 5 minutes.
Holy
probably,
cow.
but
You barely broke a sweat.
I don't know about that, but
Just to have, what does that do confidence-wise, knowing that, okay, I'll use my word, dominating these guys. What does that do for you mentally?
prepares you. It makes you have confidence in yourself, getting you ready for Worlds. That's like the whole point of going to Pan Am's.
You just finished your freshman year here at NDSU. Tell me about that experience of getting to come here and wrestle Division I, and did you see this kind of success coming after what you just did this past year?
Not really, but
yeah.
I redshirted this year, but I still was able to compete in quite a few events. And it was a lot of fun.
Describe that, knowing, okay, I'm not going to be in duels. I'm not going to do the full deal. How was that difficult for you to mentally adjust to after, wrestling your entire time in high school when you got here?
A little bit, but it's nice because you can just focus on training. Because like competition, it's really nice to have competition because you're hungry, right? You want to go compete, but it's nice to just be in the room and just focus on getting better every day.
Would you say the flip side of that is, Shilo, you're healthy? Like you're healthier? Had you gone through the whole year, that you're not beat up, you're not tired, all that, if you had done everything from October to March as opposed to what you did this year?
Maybe, yeah, I might be less healthy, but I don't know. Who's to say?
So give us the back. I was mentioning this yesterday that the USA Junior Nationals are going on this week up at the Dome. You competed here. Tell me about your backstory of coming to Fargo and winning as you did a couple years ago.
Yeah. So I didn't start competing at Fargo until my sophomore year, which honestly I'm glad because my freshman year I was not ready for freestyle and Greco because I only just then started wrestling them. But 3 years I wrestled here at Fargo at the tournament, the national tournament.
Yep.
And I just big tournament, great to come in, and it's just a grind. Especially when you're doing both styles, freestyle and Greco.
Yeah, tell me about that when you're doing that all week. How many matches are you going if you're doing both styles? If you make it all the way to the final, like you did. Double digits, easy, right?
Yeah, probably 10.
Holy cow.
If you're going to the finals in both styles. And honestly, it depends from year to year. It just depends on how big the bracket is. But, yeah.
So to have that kind of success, when did NDSU get in the picture? You're from Idaho.
Yeah.
So when you're here, the Bison got interested in you? Give us the story on that.
So, right, I was always coming here for Fargo for 3 years in a row. So I was able to see the facilities and all that. But I think that is one of the main reasons I got on their radar, and they were in contact with me, and they communicated a lot, and it ended up being the right place for me.
What about Coach Obi Blanc was like, this is a guy I can wrestle for. Like this is a guy that he can be the guy. What was it about it to you that stuck out?
He wanted me to be the guy, basically.
Yeah.
Like he wanted me to come in. He saw a future for me in his program. and wanted me to come and compete.
So since the collegiate wrestling season ended in March, you've been everywhere. You've been Vegas, you've been Colorado Springs, obviously Peru. Was this all did you have it all scheduled out? Or was this, hey, I've had success and now my whole summer is completely transformed?
Yeah. So I guess it wasn't until after trials, because then I'm on the world team.
Yeah.
So then now I got to go to Bulgaria and all that. And then all the training camps. So you got to travel for those too.
So winning the U.S. Open in Vegas, let's go back to that. That happened, I want to say, April? Does that sound right? I believe that you did that. What was it about? Did that change your own perspective? Like, okay, maybe I'm good enough to be on this team. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I believe I did pretty well at the U.S. Open and cruised through it pretty easily. So it was like, oh, well, yeah, I can definitely go win the world team. And then once you win the U.S. Open for U20s, right, you sit out for the other tournament.
Okay.
So you sit out till the finals for the trials to go make the world team.
Okay. So describe that you didn't have to go through that because you won it. Does that alleviate some pressure? Then you have to do all that?
Yeah.
I know you shared on social media you got to go out to Colorado Springs to work out there. I mean, that's the home of Team USA.
Yeah.
So being there, what kind of moment was that for you?
It was really eye-opening. I didn't realize how much of a awesome opportunity it was until I got there, and just able to see all the facilities and have the coaches there, and it was just great.
Now, you tell me, are you seeing the best wrestlers in the country, best professional wrestlers there that the USA has? They're training when you're out there as well?
On and off.
Okay.
Like they'll come in from time to time, and they'll bring in foreign guys too.
Okay.
But yeah, they got a lot of good guys that are there.
Is that like a pinch me moment? Like, okay, I'm here, and like, hey, okay, there's a gold medalist over there. There's a silver medalist. What was that like?
It was awesome. I don't. Yeah.
Kind of hard to describe, huh? Just that this is happening. You mentioned now, by virtue of what you've done, you're going to the Worlds, which are in Bulgaria next month. So you can cross off Peru and Bulgaria. I mean, we were visiting off air about this. The fact to get to travel, regardless of competition, which I want to get to in a second, you're traveling the world, man. I mean, that's got to be just fantastic. I mean, people would love to do that, let alone you're doing it for competition.
And I haven't gone out of the country besides like Canada when I was little.
Right?
So it's great opportunity to go see the world too.
Has your family had a chance to go? I mentioned your dad was.
My dad did go to Peru, so that was fun.
What was that like for him for you to have him there as well?
It was fun because my dad's traveled out of country quite a few times for work and that kind of thing.
And now his son's a world traveler too.
Yeah. But yeah, it was fun to go to Peru with him and just walk around and explore.
Now, from what I know, Bulgaria's wrestling crazy. It's a huge deal over there. Describe now, you're going to be over there competing, and what that potential atmosphere could be like when you get there.
Yeah, Europe is a step up, right?
Yeah.
At least from the Americas, right?
Yep.
But yeah, they'll train from when they're 6 years old, right? And they'll just keep going.
The backstory of this, tell me about, for you, was wrestling always the sport, or what did you do growing up in Idaho?
I wrestled. I did a whole bunch of different sports. I did hockey, football, baseball. I did a whole bunch of stuff.
When did wrestling set aside, like, okay, I'm proficient at this, I'm good at it, that this is going to be, that's the road I'm going to go down?
I don't remember if it was like sophomore year in high school, but like basically I made the decision. I was like, this is what I'm doing.
Yep.
This is what I want to do.
For people that I don't know this, so I'll ask, high school wrestling in Idaho, is it good? Like, what's the competition level? Like, I know North Dakota, I know Minnesota. I don't know Idaho. Tell me about that.
It's good. It depends on your bracket, right?
Yeah.
Like, from year to year, it'll be different, but there's really good coaches, and that brings up the level that much.
So now, tell me, have you had a chance? Have your teammates giving you a hard time? I know you're not around them right now. Have you gotten messages, or what's that been like since you got back?
A little bit. They're kind of giving me shit. I've been gone the whole summer, but
but now they're giving you a hard time.
I'm
about
back,
it? Yeah.
so we're training.
How does this change your own collegiate expectations after however next month goes? To when now you're going to be heavyweight, you're going to be the guy theoretically next fall. To have this kind of success, does that change your whole outlook for what Division I wrestling can be?
I wouldn't say a lot, not really. I still have the same goals for collegiately that I want to go do, and that was always the main thing that I wanted to go do, was compete in college.
Yeah. So
this is just a great opportunity that arose.
This is just a bonus after that. Yeah. So here's the question I ask every year when when I was covering it for the news for the Junior Nationals, is the difference between freestyle and Greco-Roman. Can you explain that in under 2 hours to me of how we do this?
So the difference between those two is pretty easy.
Okay.
Greco, you can't touch legs.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. So freestyle and Greco is freestyle, but you're not allowed to touch the legs.
So Greco-Roman is more, that's like incredible upper body. You got to have unbelievable upper body strength then, right? Just say it. You can say it, man. That's
a little
right.
bit, but like you don't have to be crazy. You just need to know what you're doing.
Is it more technical, challenging Greco-Roman than freestyle, in your opinion?
I believe Greco's easier, at least for me, because I like things being simple, and there's a lot less to focus on.
Yeah.
Right.
I know Obi's added a couple new assistants. Have you had a chance to get to know them or introduce yourself at all to them yet?
I've talked to them quite a bit.
How's that gone so far? What do you get impressions of the new assistants that have come on staff?
Good coaches.
Yeah.
Good coaches.
Expectations for this team. Obviously, you saw there's a bunch of guys coming back. A couple guys had a great run at the NCAAs for the Bison wrestling team, which traditionally been really, really good. What do you get a sense for the upcoming year?
Yeah, we got a lot of returners. We're a pretty young team, so I think we're gonna do well.
Has this changed your own expectations just on your wrestling career? Like with the last few months, say, okay, that I can maybe do this beyond college. That if you thought about it, now it may be a reality. Has that happened for you?
Yeah, that's a possibility, but we'll see as we go.
Just the amount of success, it seems like you keep everything pretty even keeled. How do you do that? Knowing, hey, you're doing this. I'm sure there's probably more interviews coming or people are talking about you. How do you keep everything level headed right now?
I don't know. I'm here to wrestle, right?
Yeah.
I'm wrestling.
So before we go, tell me about the next little bit between now and it's the middle of August. What's the next 3-4 weeks like before you head over to Bulgaria?
So I got about 2 weeks where I'm still here in Fargo, right? I'm kind of checking out the tournament, but I'm mostly going to train folk style these 2 weeks. And then after those 2 weeks, we got another camp in Colorado Springs. Okay. I'm going to go to there, train Greco about a week. Then I'll come back, train a little more freestyle, and then we'll head out.
Take the plane over?
Or sorry, I said freestyle, folk style. And then we'll head out to...
For people that don't know, how many are on the team? Do you know how many members that will be going to go over there?
I don't know the exact number.
This is the elite group here. For this age bracket that you're participating in, this is the best that this country has to offer, and you're part of that. When I say that, what goes through your mind?
glad to be part of that.
Hard work paid off here, though, for people that don't see the work that goes in, specifically wrestling. When you're in the wrestling room at either really early in the morning or late at night, this is the payoff for what you've had a chance to do here over the last couple of months. That's gotta feel good that, okay, the hard work I've paid in now, or I've done, is paying out now.
Yeah, it's nice to see something for your work, right? That you've been actually improving and working towards something.
Well, I appreciate you doing this, man. Congratulations. It's been fun to watch over the last. I keep seeing your name pop up. Anything happen wrestling-wise from NDSU, you're all over it. So congratulations on the past week, and good luck next month in Bulgaria, okay?
Thanks.
Shilo Jones joining us, NDSU freshman wrestler, after winning the Pan Am Championships in Peru last week. We'll break. Much more on Hot Mic. We roll out on a Tuesday morning. We're back right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to NDSU Shilo Jones for joining us in studio. Big dude with some big plans ahead. Not necessarily Bulgaria on the to-do list, but that's where he'll be heading coming up next month. We appreciate him coming by. Good stuff there. Got a couple of minutes here before John Millea will join us from the Minnesota State High School League. Email comes in on the All-Star game. Dom, I had the opportunity to attend the 1965 All-Star Game at Metropolitan Stadium. On the bus ride from Hutchinson, Minnesota, I asked the man who took me about Willie Mays leading off. He replied that maybe Alvin Dark, the National League manager, thought that Willie would hit one out for an early lead. Well, I think it was the third or fourth pitch. Willie knocked one of the left field bleachers, and to say the least, I couldn't believe my friend's prediction. That was a fabulous game, and everyone wore their respective teams' uniforms. 1965. That's a great story. I appreciate that email. Again, that's when a totally different era. We're talking now, not to date the email coming in, that's 60 years ago. But a different era, obviously, of the game when everyone would play 9 innings to begin with. And, boy, the competition was ultra, ultra fierce then because you were playing for your league. And it's not there anymore, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. Interleague play is all that a certain generation of baseball fans know. That came in 1997. Never forget that when they introduced, okay, hey, you're going to play. The Yankees are going to play the Mets in the regular season. It was a huge deal where I was from. That was going to happen because they hadn't played ever. The only time they played was occasionally in spring training. They never played until the Subway Series was a thing in 2000. They never played. So when that became a thing, that, I don't know if tainted the All-Star game, but it certainly took away the allure of what we didn't ever see. We never saw Randy Johnson pitch against the Atlanta Braves, right? You never had a Greg Maddux versus Randy Johnson matchup. That just never took place, right, in the early 90s. Or if you had a, let's say, like the Twins. Yeah, the Twins go to Wrigley Field. I went to one of those, 2017, 18, we went to Wrigley Field. That's still a big deal. Heck, when the Dodgers come to Minnesota now, I like that, but at the expense of this, maybe. I still think there's ways to tweak this game to make it more television friendly. Miking up the players, you'll see that tonight. Fox does a cool job with that. I will say Fox has always been innovative and out in front in getting microphones and getting viewers to the action when they can. Like having somebody mic'd up in the batter's box or having a camera on a catcher's helmet, that's cool. You can do that in a game like tonight, which will hopefully be appealing. And frankly, you want your stars to perform. Ohtani do something to lead off the game would be great. If they would let him pitch sometime tonight, that would be fantastic. Or you could do what the NHL did. And potentially this will happen when the Olympics come about in 2028, is you have a world format during the break. You take a week off because you can do that. Baseball plays every day, and you have something like hockey did with the Four Nations deal. You could do that with the United States, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Japan. And let's go. Now that would get people, I believe that. You do that in the middle of the summer, and you've got something there. And maybe, I know this is the 95th All-Star game, maybe ditch that and go down that road. Look what hockey did. Hockey got its best ratings ever for something they created in the middle of the winter. And it was fun. People liked it. Certainly people watched more so than any other regular hockey game. Baseball would be smart to look at that. We'll break. We come back. John Millea will join us on Stepping Away after 2 decades of the Minnesota State High School League, his favorite stories, and covering sports in Northwest Minnesota. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour of our show on this Tuesday morning. Really excited for our next guest to come on. For anybody that's covered high school sports in the state of Minnesota or a fan of high school sports in the state of Minnesota, you know our next guest because his face has been plastered on a car for the last 15 years, but he's traveled every length of the state, and he's officially retiring next month from his job where he's highlighted just great stories you probably wouldn't hear about, stories you wouldn't hear about on our newscasts, maybe from time to time, and from around the state. John Millea joins us from the Minnesota State High School League. Their media specialist is his official title. I would call like the Pied Piper of great stories that you don't know in Minnesota high school sports. It's great to see you, bud. Congratulations on a great career. My first question is why now? Why is this the time to be done?
Well, I found a gray hair this morning, Don. You can see that. So, I'm closer to 70 than I am to 60. I started working as a sports writer when I was 15 years old. That was 51 years ago. And it's just time. My wife's been retired for a couple years. We've got things we'd like to do while we still can. So, yeah, I feel like I've filled that bucket, and it's time to move on. And I am almost done. I've got my class of 2025 T-shirt.
Fantastic.
This is my graduation year, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm really lucky to have been doing this for so long, and 20 years at the Star Tribune before that. And yeah, I don't know that I've lived a charmed life, but this sure has been fun.
Have you? I don't know the answer to this. Have you made it to every high school in the state?
No, and I don't think I ever could. I could do this for 30 years. I've been to a lot, and I know where all of them are. I've certainly looked at the map over and over, plotting trips and stuff. And I've driven through towns just to look at the high school or the football field, having never stopped. I'll do that a lot. But no, there's so many of them, and it's such a big state. That's almost impossible.
You have gone from northwestern Minnesota to southeastern. What about it when you started doing it? Like, boy, this is either more encompassing or this is bigger than I ever thought about when you started doing the job.
Yeah, one of the first things I realized as I traveled around the state, and I'm an Iowa native. Iowa's pretty much the same. You got rivers on the east and the west. Those are kind of picturesque. The rest of it's flat, rolling farmland. It's nothing to write home about. It's fine. But, I drive around Minnesota, the bluff country in the southeast, and, the woods up north and the North Shore. And it's phenomenal everywhere. And I get to southern Minnesota. That's kind of like my homeland of Iowa, very familiar. And I always tell people when I roll into a small town anywhere in the state and I see a couple of church steeples and 2 bars on Main Street and a grain elevator, I speak the language there. Those are my people. And it's a phenomenal state. I love this state. I wasn't born here. I've got a tattoo on my arm. It's not the state of Iowa. It's another state that I got this year to kind of it's kind of a symbol of my gratitude. And we raised our kids here. None of our kids were born here. And my wife's from the same little town in Iowa as I am. And I'm just so grateful for living here for 35 years now and raising our kids here. Two of them moved to California. I don't understand that. They don't like snow. But yeah, it's a beautiful state and there's beautiful people everywhere.
When the high school league, did they approach you about this, or did you see an opening? How did the job come about?
Yeah, it's kind of a long, involved story. I was covering high school sports at the Minneapolis paper. I got to know Dave Stead, then the executive director of the high school league, legendary guy. And the high school league had made some decisions that made people mad. And the way the high school league approached things back then was they didn't comment. They'd make their decisions. We're not getting in a back and forth. So I don't even remember what the decisions were, but everywhere I'd go, people were coming to me, hey, what'd the high school league do that for? Why won't they explain it? So I was having a phone conversation with Dave Stead. This was at least a year before I was hired. I was working on some story. I just needed to talk to him, and we kind of covered whatever we were going to cover there. And I just off the top of my head, I said to him, Dave, you're getting roasted out there for X and Y, whatever it was. He said, yeah, I know. And he kind of explained, we don't like to get into back and forth. And again, clearly off the top of my head, I just said, have you ever thought about a staff position? Somebody, maybe kind of a PR, maybe to tell your stories? Because I thought they just needed some help. And no way was I thinking me. I love the newspaper life. That's all I'd ever done. And we kind of talked and traded emails for close to a year. And then he finally told me, we're going to do this. And no high school governing body in the country had this kind of a job.
Wow.
And I give him credit for taking that step. And they interviewed me, myself, and I think 5 or 6 other people. And at some point in that process, I realized this could be a cool job. So I was hired, and one week I was covering the state wrestling tournament for the newspaper. The next week I took a week off, and the week after that I was covering girls state basketball for the high school league, and away we went. And like I said, Don, nobody had a job like this. There were no breadcrumbs to follow. It was just kind of go a day at a time. And that kind of continued right till now. It's like a day at a time. And certainly I've been really lucky to do this, and that's credit to Dave Stead.
Some stories are obvious, John, and you're going to cover the undefeated football team or a basketball team or a hockey team that's really good. The ones I've always appreciated you've done, and heck, I've sent you a couple that we've done, are the off the beaten path. How did you find those, especially from smaller schools? Was it you're getting a phone call, you get a tip? Like, how did you find the ones that are in Norman County or in Ada, Minnesota?
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of it is just keeping your nose to the ground and having maybe a sense of, is that a story? But I got so many tips from people, just people in town, or an administrator or a coach or a parent, and social media has certainly helped that. News can travel. But one of the things I realized, as I've kind of been in the waning days of my journalism career, is showing up can be half the battle.
No doubt.
I've walked into so many sporting events without a story in mind, and I'll see something that just blows me away. I've started posting what I've kind of settled on my favorite 15 stories I've ever written over 15 years. Posted the first one yesterday, Zach Gabbard from Perham from 2011. And the one I'm going to post today is one of these. I just went to a football game and didn't know what I was going to see, didn't have a story in mind, and it's one of my favorite stories ever. I'm going to post that one later today. It's just show up. You never know what you're going to see.
When did the league or did you or somebody come in with the idea of the car and your face on the side of the car?
Yeah. Again, that was Dave Stead. I was the first couple of years with the high school league, I was driving my own car, just beating that thing into the ground, just putting on all these miles, and the league was paying me by the mile.
Okay.
So they were writing me big checks every month, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and this car was not going to last.
Nope.
And I said to Dave Stead one day, hey, you think there's any chance of getting a car dealership to sponsor a car, give us some kind of good deal? And he knew a guy who knew a guy at Maplewood Toyota, and before long he said, yeah, we got a car ready for you. Or I started getting emails from Toyota executives in Chicago here. Hey, what do you want? What do you want these graphics to look like? Here's 6 options. Pick one of these. So Toyota really came through. They would lease these cars to the high school league, not to me, for $0.
Wow.
3-year leases, 4 different cars, so 12 years of a free ride with my stupid cartoon head on the side. And yeah, that was really something. I did not sneak into many towns in those things.
Well, it became a thing. Like I remember covering a game, and if you were there, that was a big deal. Like John Millea is here because his car is in the parking lot. Like that had to be surreal.
Some places they had me park the car 10 feet behind the end zone just so everybody could see it. And I've got a collection in my garage of all these parking signs, parking reserved for John Millea.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned your favorite 15. The one yesterday obviously caught my attention, and I've been wanting to do this, and then I saw it, so it just springboarded more. Was the Zach Gabbard story. I lived that. I remember anchoring the sports that night when he collapsed in Glendon when they were playing DGF. Perham's team, and Dave Cressup is a friend of our show. Dave is still on now, who's the head coach then. That was one of the more remarkable stories that just took off, that became almost a nationwide story, because Perham went on and won the championship, and Zach showed up at Target Center that night. John, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. It really wasn't.
It was phenomenal. And I didn't really know Dave Cressup then. I talked to him, but he let me know before, as they were getting to the arena, hey, John, we're going to have a surprise, and you're invited to be in the locker room. And, as the story goes, the kids thought we're going to do a video hookup with Zach, who was in a rehab facility in the Twin Cities. So they're looking at this TV in the locker room, waiting for Zach to appear on the screen. And out comes Zach, his mom and dad pushing him in a wheelchair around. They were like hiding in a shower stall. And just to be in that room at that moment, it's unforgettable. And then when the team took to the court, and here they get Zach up on the court in his wheelchair. Yeah, you're right. It was super emotional as about anything I can remember. And just that story of he's here, he's with the team. He was introduced with the lineups, those are unbelievable stories.
Unfortunately, the last time I had you on was when the nickname challenge came about. That took on a life of its own as well, when we didn't have any sports going on. How much did that take a life out of its own? Like, I can't believe this became as big a deal as it did.
Oh, I had no idea. I just was thinking, it's COVID. We're not doing anything. What can we do?
Yeah.
And I wondered, and I'm a fan of goofy mascots, and I wondered if this had ever been done. And so I got online, I did some searching. The closest I could find was the Wild had done a bracket like that with high school hockey jerseys. Well, that's not this. This is nicknames. So I just to kind of give me something to do, I started going through all our nicknames. I picked 64, put them in 4 stupidly named brackets, pretzel and cheese bracket. I don't know what they all were. And we voted on Twitter. And Twitter was the great platform, because you'd put up a poll. You had 24 hours. And we worked our way through till it was the Spuds and the Awesome Blossoms. And people still mention that to me, Dom. I hear about that pretty regularly, how much fun that was. I think everybody just enjoyed something different. And I've got this thing behind me in my house. In another room in my house, I've got the big framed bracket of the nickname challenge that I'm gonna when I go to the crematorium, that's going with me.
Last thing, I have to wonder, because I know when we cover in North Dakota and obviously in northwestern Minnesota, I'm curious, did you get more guff on football classes, or why is there no shot clock in Minnesota basketball? Which one did you get more a coverage on?
I think shot clock, that was the one. And I thought, and it's fine. We've had the shot clock now for a few years, and I was 50-50 on it. I didn't care. Just play basketball, and it's fine. The complainers don't have anything to complain about now. We have shot clocks. And the football classes and the way we set up sections and all that's every other year. That's a pain in the butt, but that's part of the deal. Those things have to be done, and those aren't the worst problems in the world.
It's so great to see you. Congratulations on a great run. I hope you enjoy retirement, and whoever has the job after you has certainly high expectations to fill, man, because you've done a dynamite job. Thanks so much for doing this morning, bud.
Thanks, Dom. I'm one lucky guy to be able to do this, and thanks for all you do.
Appreciate it. John Millea, outgoing now, media specialist for the Minnesota State High School League. You've seen him all over Moorhead, Perham, Ada. He's been all over up here, and we wish him well. What's been a great, great run for the Minnesota State High School League. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up and get you ready for a busy Tuesday sports night. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Back on Hot Mic after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Tuesday morning. All right, a couple things got to get to here. Apparently, earlier in the show, or at least came out while we were on, that I told you this week, NFL teams were going to start announcing uniform stuff, helmet stuff, just because it's the perfect time to do it. And our friends in Tampa, they watch the show, they see the helmet, there it is. They have not done that look. Now, what we need, we need that pennant. We need a signed number 14 jersey with Hedberg on the back. That's what we need for this studio. He told me he has one. That's what we now need. Either that or the signed Cody Mauch one, because we've got two North Dakota legends that have played for Tampa Bay. That's what we need. We'll make room. Somewhere we'll make room in the studio for that. That's sweet. That is I'm not sure what's stopping them from wearing them all the time. Just rip the Band-Aid off and do it, Tampa Bay, because everyone wants you to. That's way better than what they currently have. Way, way better. Email came in also when we were interviewing John Millea. And again, here's a reminder of summer is over. From Craig Haley, our friend of the show, the Stats Perform FCS preseason All-American team has been released. The Bison have 5 players on the All-American team, along with South Dakota has 5. Illinois State and Incarnate Word had 6. Tells you that people are high on Illinois State this upcoming year. First-team All-Americans from North Dakota State, Bryce Lance and Trent Fraley. Of course, the starting center from a year ago. No surprise that Bryce is going to be on every awards list going forward after what he did last year. They have 3 second-team selections as NDSU, led by Toby Anena at defensive line, Logan Kopp at linebacker, and Jackson Williams as a kick returner. First-team quarterback was Derek Robertson, who's still around. He's a redshirt senior from Monmouth. Wide receivers, I mentioned Lance, Jalen Walthall from Incarnate Word's really good. Marquise Buchanan from Rhode Island is on there as well. Let's see. A couple other. Ty Nightcamp from Illinois State, first-team linebacker. Not a ton on the Missouri Valley Football Conference, which is a storyline that we'll be talking about when we get down there. Aiden Bauman is a second-team quarterback. Daniel Sopkowitz is still there from Illinois State, is a second-team wide receiver. So there you go. We're getting to the time of the year where preseason watch lists are coming out. That means, we're right around the corner for football. All right, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. What to Watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We appreciate their sponsorship of our show each and every day. Of course, All-Star Game tonight, 7 o'clock on Fox. Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens, the starters for the American League and the National League. Joe Davis, John Spoltz have the call on Fox tonight, 7 o'clock from Atlanta. Fever and the Sun played tonight. Caitlin Clark in action against Connecticut. 7 o'clock on ESPN. There was a great clip from the game that was on WDAY where Rebecca Lobo, doing the analyst, literally as Caitlin Clark drives to the basket, she goes, there's a foul, there's a foul, there's a foul, and they finally call a foul. Just not sure what they're doing when they're officiating Caitlin Clark games. It's mind-numbing. That's tonight, 7 o'clock on ESPN. And if you need some Summer League, we got it for you. The Timberwolves play their third game in Vegas today against Detroit, 3:30 on NBA TV. Maybe some more Yohan Beranger highlights we can get you for the show tomorrow. Our thanks to Shilo Jones, to John Millea and Mike McFeely. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. So everybody has a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Recap the All-Star Game and a bunch more. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you back here tomorrow.